all the newest websites have asymmetrical layouts. It drastically improves customer retention, is way less predictable than symmetrical design, and more visually interesting. But now the $1 million question is, how can we achieve it? I just want to say that symmetry in web design looks kinda old to me. Don't you think so? First and simplest way to achieve asymmetrical balance in your web designs is by using images. In a lot of situations, you end up having a background image in your web pages, and it's super important to think about the connection between the background image and the actual content that you're placing on top of the image. In this design, there is nothing wrong with this layout, but it doesn't look professional and asymmetrically balanced. If we pay attention to the image, we can see that the subject is placed on the right side of the image, and we have a lot of empty space on the left side of the image, and that makes the entire design visually unbalanced. And when we want to achieve an asymmetrically balanced design, we need to think about those things, how the subject in the image is going to affect the actual design, and as a consequence, how we need to place the content. For example, in this design, I can take the title, I can align the text on the left side, and I can move the actual title on the left side. And now we can see that the design feels way more balanced and pleasant to our eyes. So if you have to work with background images into your designs, think about the composition of the images, for example, where the subject is placed or where most of the things are placed into the image. Keep in mind, friends, that asymmetrical balance is only a matter of visual balance and not mathematical balance. Now, because images are a really impactful thing into your designs, another simple way to achieve an asymmetrical balance is by putting a lot of content on the opposite side of the image. You can see this technique applied in this design that I've done a couple of months ago, where I placed a lot of text on the opposite corner than the image, and I also used a really strong color, so the contrast is really high. Another example could be this design right here. I used an image that is taking half of the page, and I placed a lot of content on the right side, on the opposite side of the image, a smaller image, some call to actions, and that is how you can balance a really big image. You basically put more content on the opposite side, and you can use whatever you want, call to actions, other small images, a big title, but be careful and don't make it a mess. Moving on to the second technique, which is complexity and simplicity. You can see this effect on a lot of modern minimal websites, where a lot of designers balance a complex side of the page with a big bold text on the opposite side. I have a lot of call to actions and information on the right side of the page, and I wanted to balance it with this big bold text, and visually this is perfectly balanced. It's surely not the best design that you've seen, but it's visually balanced. And that's the principle of complexity and simplicity. You want to balance a complex side of the page with a really simple element on the opposite side. The way to achieve asymmetrical balance in your designs is by using elements, position, scaling, and contrast. Let's imagine that you are in this situation and that you want to design a simple website with a text and just the background. Right now we have a lot of empty space that we can utilize to convey emotions, to make everything way more interesting, because asymmetrical design is all about making everything way more interesting. And the first way that we can do it is by adding some call to actions, for example. Let's say that we want to add a triangle to tell the user to scroll. Now be careful to what happens when I scale up or down the triangle. Notice that when I scale up the triangle, the focal point is going to be the triangle, not the text anymore. And even if the size of the title is actually bigger than the size of the triangle, the user attention is 100% going to be on the triangle, on a secondary element instead of the really important element of the page. Now if I scale it down too much, we can see that we are not making anything else than putting some content, some random content on the page, because the element doesn't balance the design. It's too small and it doesn't add anything to the page. The crucial part that you need to keep in mind if you want to become better and really good at asymmetrical design is that you need to practice a lot. Asymmetrical balance is about visual balance, and the only way to see a visually balanced design is by practicing a lot and to train your eyes to see that everything works. For today's episode, that is all for me, guys. Let me know in the comments down below if you want to know more techniques to achieve asymmetrical balance. Smash the like button if you found this video helpful, and I hopefully see you in the next one.